underway. The next few hours were very busy, as the old captain moved his belongings out of the Tulip and the three friends moved in. By the time they had finished, it was almost dark and they were very tired. Before he went, the old captain fitted Minty with a life jacket and made him promise to wear it when he was on deck. "I'll wear it all the time," promised Minty. When the old captain had waved his final goodbye and disappeared into the shadows along the riverbank path, they went below to the tiny galley and practiced how not to tread on each other's toes while they were making cocoa. Minty took his cocoa into the cabin and climbed into the top bunk before anyone else could claim it. "I'll drink mine in bed," he said. In the middle of the night, when everyone else was asleep, Minty fell out of the bunk and hit the floor with a bump. "Are you hurt?" asked Thomas sleepily. "Course I'm not," said Minty. "I'm wearing my life jacket." Thomas and Wilbur were woken a few hours later by a cry for help. Thomas opened one eye and looked at the spot where Minty had landed before. It wasn't there. This time he was hanging like a yellow moon from the edge of the bunk. "I was falling out, but then I got caught up," he tried to explain. I just don't know how it happened." "Well, that's the best life jacket I've ever seen," said Wilbur. "It saved your life twice already." "I think you better change places with Wilbur," said Thomas, when they'd unhooked Minty. "Sooner or later, you're going to hurt yourself." Minty said he didn't see how, as he was wearing his life jacket. "Life jackets are meant to keep you afloat in water, not to give you soft landings," said Thomas. "You've been lucky so far, but what would happen if you fell out head first?" he asked. "You're right," said Minty, and stopped arguing. They were up so early the next morning, the birds were yawning. They were determined to make an early start. Wilbur was stationed in the wheelhouse. Thomas and Minty took the dinghy and began to tow the Tulip out into the river. The early morning mist lay like a cloud on the water. A small breeze stirred the tops of the trees. The only sounds were the gentle lapping of the water and the creak of the oars. Suddenly, a voice broke into the quiet, half-asleep world like the crack of a whip. It was very startling. Minty dropped an oar. Thomas gulped. "You'll never do that! You'll never get that out of there!" A fat little frog was standing with his bicycle on the towpath. "Is he talking to us?" asked Minty. "Of course I'm talking to you!" shouted the frog. "You're heading for disaster! You'll sink the boat! You'll jam the river! You'll hurt yourselves!" "Ignore him," whispered Thomas. "I know what to do." "Don't you know anything about boats?" shouted the frog. No, you're going too far. You'll ram the bank. Look what you're doing. Mind that branch. Left a bit. No. Back up. Never seen such idiots. Shouldn't be left in charge of a boat." The frog was turning purple with excitement. If they had listened to him, what he was shouting, and if they had done as he had said they should, they would indeed have sunk the Tulip. They would have jammed the river, and maybe even drowned. They didn't listen, so none of those things happened. Soon, piloted by Thomas, the expert, the Tulip was sitting proudly in the middle of the river, with her bow pointing downstream. "There! I told you that was the way to do it," shouted the frog, as though it was all his doing. "I'm on the river a lot myself, so I know about these things. Always glad to help anyone in trouble." He gave them a cheery wave, then mounted his bicycle and pedalled off down the towpath. As he rode, his bicycle creaked like a rusty gate, and he whistled like an old tin kettle. "What a cheek," said Wilbur when they were all back aboard. "We were never in any trouble." "Well, we would have been if we listened to him," said Minty. "He thought he was being helpful," said Thomas. "Now let's get on with the proper business of the day and get Tulip underway before he comes back and decides to help us again."